Hi, Michael. Today's question is, what keys or signs can show us that we still have to perform serious sadhana with effort?
Right, okay. Bhagavan has answered this question in Nāṉ Ār, in paragraph 11, the first sentence. What he says is, very simply, Manatin kan eduvaril vishayavasanaigal irkinjanavo, aduvaril nana ennum vicharanayum vendum. That means as long as Vishaya-vasanas exist within the mind, so long the investigation, who am I, is necessary. So the sign that that sadhana with effort is, serious sadhana with effort is necessary, are rising as ego and attending to anything other than ourselves. That is, so long as we are aware of anything other than ourselves, that shows that our ego and Vishaya-vasanas are still strong. Well, I mean, they haven't been completely eradicated. They may, by practice, they may have been weakened, but the Vishaya-vasanas still exist. And so long as Vishaya-vasanas exist, ego exists, because ego is the root of the Vishaya-vasanas. So the being aware of anything other than ourselves, being aware of anything that anything other than ourselves means anything that appears and disappears, anything other than the pure awareness, the fundamental awareness I am, all other, except I am is the only permanent thing, that fundamental awareness of our own existence, I am, that is the only thing that exists permanently in all three states, waking, dream, and sleep. Whatever else may appear or disappear, I am always remains. So anything other than I am is a Vishaya, is something, Vishaya means a phenomenon, it's something other than ourselves. So as long as we are aware of any Vishayas, that indicates the presence of Vishaya-vasanas, because we wouldn't have any inclination to be aware of Vishaya. I mean, the inclination, we wouldn't be aware of Vishaya if we didn't have an inclination to be aware of Vishaya. The inclination to be aware of Vishaya is what is called Vishaya-vasana. So long as we have any inclination to be aware of anything other than ourselves, that is the sign that the investigation, who am I, is necessary. And why is effort necessary? Because the nature of the mind is to go outwards. That is, as I said in the previous video, Vishaya-vasanas are the very nature of the mind, because, as Bhagavan says in verse 25 of Uḷḷadu Nāṛpadu, ego is a formless phantom. It comes into existence grasping form, it stands grasping form, and it feeding and grasping on form, it flourishes. So that inclination to grasp things other than itself, that inclination is the Vishaya-vasanas that makes us inclined to cling to things other than ourselves. So Vishaya-vasanas are the very nature of ego. Since that is the very nature of ego, we cannot attend only to ourselves without effort, because since the natural inclination of ego is to attend to things other than itself, as ego, we now need to turn our attention back to face ourselves. That requires effort up to the very end. Until ego is eradicated, effort is required. Once ego is eradicated, there's no one left to make any effort and no need for any effort, because what remains, when ego is eradicated, what remains will be only that pure awareness I am, shining all in its pristine state, as it always is. So, and that for that, no effort is necessary, because it is our very being, our very nature is that. We are never other than that. We seem to have risen. The ego is only a seeming rising. It's not a real rising. There is no rising. But so long as we seem to rise as ego, everything else seems to have risen up, seems to have come into existence. So that's why what Bhagavan says in this sentence, as long as Vishaya-vasanas exist within the mind, so long the investigation, who am I, is necessary. So that effort to be self-attentive is necessary so long as we have the slightest inclination to be aware of anything other than ourselves.
And the sensation of effort will decrease in intensity as we practice. I mean, little by little, each time we'll seem that we are making less effort.
It's difficult to say because it's all a matter of perspective.
Yeah.
What may in the past have seemed to be a great effort may now not seem to be so much effort. But the nature of the mind is like, if you, supposing there's a dangerous tiger roaming around in a forest, hunters are trying to kill that tiger because it's killing animals and it's killing people. It's a very dangerous tiger. So but maybe they don't have any very sophisticated weapons for killing it. So they're only able to throw stones at it or whatever. Anyway, they continue attacking it. So it's slowly getting weaker and weaker. Eventually, that tiger may be driven into a corner. And because of all the stones and sticks and everything that's been beating it, or the knives that have been cutting it, it's become very, very weak. But because it's in a corner, it's going to fight back with great ferocity. The mind is like that. Though we are weakening the Vishaya vasanas, the weaker the Vishaya vasanas become, the more ego becomes like a prey, a cornered prey, like a tiger who's been caught in a corner and has been much weakened. It's fighting for its very life. At the beginning, early on in our sadhana, because the Vishaya vasanas are still strong, there's no chance that we're going to kill the ego immediately. So ego may seem to put up less resistance at first, but as the Vishaya vasanas get weakened, and that is, ego derives its strength from its Vishaya vasanas. The Vishaya vasanas are the strength of the ego. So when the Vishaya vasanas are weakened, as ego, we become in serious danger of being annihilated. So the greater the danger, the more we as ego fight back. So it may seem, as we go further on this path, that there's more resistance. But ultimately, it's all a matter of perspective. And what's it matter whether it's a little effort or great effort? If there's only one, what are we all seeking? We all want to be happy. Happiness free of any misery, as Bhagavan says in the first sentence of the first paragraph of Nāṉ Ār. So since we're all seeking that happiness free of misery, that infinite, unalloyed happiness, and since we know we cannot achieve that by any other means, what's it matter how much effort we make? If this is what is necessary, we have to put in whatever effort is necessary. So whether we consider it to be a little effort or a great effort really doesn't matter. We just have to keep on trying. There's no benefit to be gained in evaluating the effort. Am I making more effort now than I was in the past? It doesn't matter. Now I need to make effort. What I was doing in the past or what I'm going to be doing in the future doesn't matter. Now, here at this moment, I need to be trying to attend to myself.
Yeah, exactly. And the words, in a way, the words effort and practice make it sound like an obligation or discipline.
Yes.
But if what you're looking for is liberation,
Yes.
That's what it's at stake. You shouldn't feel like you have something to do. It's what you want to do with all your. It's because it's the most worthy pursuit in life. I mean, it's not nothing less than that. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Just to give an example, we all need to earn a livelihood in this, or most of us need to earn a livelihood in this world. If you have a job that you really don't like doing, it's going to seem very difficult. Oh, I really don't like this. It's going to be a bother every morning to get up and go for your job. But if you've got a job you really enjoy doing, it won't seem like work at all, because it's what you enjoy doing. So you may be putting far more effort into doing that work because you enjoy it, but it doesn't seem like a big effort because you enjoy it. Likewise, if we really have a liking to follow this path, it doesn't matter. We don't think in terms of effort. We think in terms of doing what we like doing, which is attending to ourselves.
Exactly. Yeah, because it's what we want. It's not because what we have to do, or
yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And this
follow this path only to the extent that we have love to follow it. So those who say, "Oh, it's difficult," it's because if we feel it's difficult, it's because we don't yet have enough liking to follow it. So how to cultivate that liking to follow it? By trying little by little to follow it. Slowly, slowly, as our Vishaya vasanas get weakened, we are cultivating the liking to be self-attentive. That is, the liking to be self-attentive is the bhakti. The weakening of our Vishaya vasanas is the vairagya. Bhakti and vairagya are just two sides of the same piece of paper. You can't separate them. To the extent you have bhakti, to that extent you've also got vairagya.
And the analogy you use with of the tiger,
yes,
is that can account for the ego backlash that we have experienced from time to time. Like it seems like you're progressing, and all of a sudden you feel like you reverse back to and you
exactly.
wasted all the effort in one day, from one day to the other.
That is, as ego, that is the nature of ego, is self-deception. So as ego, we are the master of self-deception. So we will try to find some way or other to evade doing what we have to do. But if we've understood Bhagavan's teachings, and if he put that seed of liking in our heart, we cannot lead this. We may sometimes seem not to make so much effort at times, but then again and again we're drawn back to this path, because there is no other way. There's no choice. If we want to be happy, there's a price to be paid. We have to sacrifice this ego. And the only way to sacrifice ego is by means of self-investigation.